Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. This is going to be a comment section reply video. Sometimes people leave comments under my videos, and I think that the whole community could benefit from me answering this question on a larger platform. So, I always let that person know, hey, I'm going to give you a video reply and I'll send you a link to when that's completed. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and read this person's comment and then go ahead and give my reply. She says, I know narcs are supposedly emotional and mature, but doesn't it take a certain amount of knowledge about emotions to be able to do what they do? Sometimes I think my ex had the upper hand by knowing how to play me as well as he did. He doesn't now. I caught on. And he will never have the upper hand again, but it's knowing he got away with what he did that bothers me. I know he lost a good person in me, but he will never admit to it or change his behavior accordingly because he is never at fault for anything. Do you know how I was able to drive him away in the end? It was by telling him the problems in our relationship were his fault, not mine. He was always accusing me of causing problems and getting angry with me for just wanting to talk about things. He didn't know how to handle it when I put it back on him. I know I am better off without him. It's just the fact that he got so much out of me that makes me mad. And I feel humiliated that I let him. He had me eating out of the palm of his hand, and knowing this makes me sick. All right, so I really think that a lot of survivors can connect with this person's comment as they progress through the healing process. All right, so let's just go ahead back through what she wrote, and I'm going to go ahead and reply to this, perhaps section by section, if you will. All right, so the first thing she says is, I know narcs are supposedly emotionally immature, but doesn't it take a certain amount of knowledge about emotions to be able to do what they do? Yes, it does take a certain amount of emotional maturity or observation to be able to do this. Now, let's stop for a minute and think about narcissists. Narcissists are usually relationship junkies. They're relationship addicts. So yes, they're addicted to being in relationships. So they're rebounding from one relationship to another, and they're starting new relationships before the other ones are ending. They're always having other people lined up. So this is giving them a lot of exposure to dealing with people in relationships. So if they've had that many relationships, I'm sure they've made some observations in the process. What tends to work with people, how to manipulate people. So they're using this shadowy end or spectrum of their emotional maturity to use negative traits to manipulate other people. So I didn't say they had absolutely no emotional maturity. But if you put two people together and one has studied underhanded tactics and manipulations and the other person has been by the book, they're both studying two separate sections of the book, right? So that's what I want you to acknowledge right now. He's using a certain part of his emotional maturity, his shadowy side, the negative aspect, and you were trying to use your honesty and your love and that part of your emotional maturity, because guess what? In a healthy person that's looking for those healthy parts of emotional maturity, then you would have been successful. But that's not what narcissists are looking for, and that's why it was a fail for you using that aspect of your emotional maturity. And you weren't schooled or you were naive about the manipulative or negative parts of emotional maturity, basically manipulation, that people do tend to use, and particularly narcissists. So yes, You do have to have a certain amount of knowledge about how to manipulate people to be able to do what they do, because that's what they're doing largely, is manipulating people, okay? So if they're doing this on a person that doesn't understand manipulation and manipulation tactics, they may go far or get far until that person starts putting one and one together, all right? So let's continue. She says, sometimes I think my ex had the upper hand by knowing how to play me as well as he did. Yes, he did initially, like you said. He did have the upper hand because you weren't up on, these playboys and the manipulations that they do. So yeah, he actually had that upper hand. And she continues to say, he doesn't now. I caught on. And he will never have that upper hand again. And that's a great thing. But it's knowing he got away with what he did that bothers me. Now let's just stop there. Now, this survivor is making an assumption. All right, because perhaps she didn't personally hold him too accountable, during the relationship for the things that he was doing. Now, I don't know if the narcissist discarded her or if she finally had enough and ended up discarding the narcissist. But he didn't continue to get away with it if he no longer, has you as supply. All right. And we all do accumulate karma. And I've made a video on that and how narcissists live their life. And it requires you to kind of take a bigger picture view of the situation to see how their karma is playing out. And sometimes you can even take a literal one. I mean, look at this person's life. Are they really thriving? Or are they just manipulating the next person? All right. Are they sincerely happy and peaceful on the inside? These are things that I talk about. The blindness that this person will experience, the level of ignorance, the blockages of real love and acceptance that they have for themselves and others. This person isn't a happy person, or else they wouldn't be even leading their life the way that they do. So, sometimes the story that we tell ourselves about this person getting away with this and that, because we may not have the front row seat. But I don't see narcissists thriving and happy and, not being hateful and bitter and not manipulating and still using people in some shape, form, or fashion. But let me continue here. She says, I know he lost a good person in me, which is a part of the karma. Let's recognize that. But he will never admit to it or change his behavior. Right, because we know that they don't take accountability. But I can intercept here and say, but you changed your behavior. And guess what? That was what needed to occur. The universe knew that narcissist was not going to change their behavior or admit their faults, but they used that to, open your eyes and show you how toxic that person was and have you, go on this journey to decide what was it inside of you that attracted you to this relationship and allowed you to fester within it for X amount of time. All right. So it was for you to change, not that narcissist per se. All right. So let's continue. Because he is never at fault for anything, according to him, right? And then she says, do you know how I was able to drive him away in the end? By telling him the problems in our relationships were his fault and not mine. Right, because we know that they're going to run from accountability. They don't really want things to be peaceful. Once you're calling it like it is, they can't gaslight you. All right, so you drove him away. That's a good thing. And she continues to say, he was always accusing me of causing problems and getting angry with me for just wanting to talk about things. Right. He was trying to train you that, there would be negative experience, that you would be met with a large amount of resistance if you try to actually get things to be resolved, because they don't want things resolved. Having things resolved requires two mature people coming together, laying everything out in the open and on the table. And that is, the last thing that a narcissist wants to do is be honest and open, even and fair. So let's continue here. He says he didn't know how to handle it when I put it back on him. And that's true. Most narcissists, they can dish it, but they certainly cannot take it. Their essence and, their egos are far more fragile than ours. All right. They just hide behind their mask. Let me continue. She says, I know I am better off without him. Yes, you certainly are. And she says, it's just the fact that he got so much out of me that makes me mad. And I feel humiliated that I let him. So, all right, he got so much out of you and it makes you feel mad. That sounds like an indication of a person that has a lack of self-forgiveness. And it also could sound like a person that's very hard on themselves. And that's very typical with people that are healing from codependency. Everyone else has been hard on them anyway, and it's quite easy for them to join in and do that to themselves, because the non-narcissistic codependent tends to take everything out on themselves. They tend to internalize everything. So of course, now that you're progressing away from the ignorance and the blindness that you were in at one point, it's really hard. It's like, whoa, like how could I have been so naive, so lost, so blind? Like, oh my gosh. But actually, this is a good sign here as far as, you realizing this. So let me continue. The humiliation, all of these things, even though we're still going to have to work with that, but it lets me know that you're not going to be so susceptible to a love bomb from him. You're starting to step into the truth some. All right. And you said he had me eating out of the palm of his hand. Yeah. And that's exactly what they want you to be doing. In the thick of it, you'll see where, he had you doing that. And you said, and knowing this makes me sick. The good news is because this makes you so sick, you're less inclined to go back to that behavior. All right. So that's progression right there, because there was a time in your life where it didn't make you sick and you were obliging this, you were submissive to it, and you were in that cycle of abuse over and over. Okay. So the fact that it makes you sick is actually a good sign. We could use that for our good right there, and it's going to keep you out of that toxic relationship and hopefully from starting another one. Okay, now what's left is to deal with the inner conflicts that you have with feeling bad that, he got to do so much. Well, let's take a bigger picture view of this. It took you some time to realize what was going on. You needed exactly the amount of time that you were in that stage or in that season. That's what you needed to be able to break free. So, everything has a time to it. And that was just the time that you needed. Nobody is perfect. You cannot find me one perfect human being. And we all have times and phases where we can look back and say, whew, I had a lot to learn right there. But that's what life is about. But at least, you're willing to do that, and you are doing that. So instead of kicking yourself in the tush, right, which isn't going to change what has already happened, it's not going to give you back any of your time. But what it is going to do, being hard on you, is going to drag it into your present. It's going to rent that much more space in your mind, and you're trying to be moving forward. And I understand self-reflecting, but doing it in a way that just adds more stress and anxiety to you, that's going to be counterproductive as well. This is why I've made audios and videos about minding the kind of story that you tell yourself, minding the perception that you have. All right, you should be proud of yourself for breaking away from this. A lot of people don't, or a lot of people take a lot more time to get out of this situation. So be thankful and see the positive that you are taking those steps and you are making progress. Allow yourself to be human. So many survivors don't. Okay, you made a mistake. Everybody has. Everybody has at least one relationship where they got dragged through the mud. But if you're doing the wise thing, what you appear to be doing in this situation, which is taking your lessons and moving forward, you're still winning. It's never going to be a loss. You had to learn about these manipulative people, and you learned through experience. And experience can be the best teacher to most of us. Some of us have to learn through going through things, but you got through it and you're getting through it. So instead of looking back and, about things that you can never get back, things that you can't reverse, situations, experiences you had with that person, just take the lessons and just be like, whew, I had a lot to learn, but you know what? I learned it and I'm going to move on and be wiser now. I'm more refined now. Okay? It's not for you to go beat yourself up. You've had enough of that with a narcissist, all right? We have to learn how to be kind and gentle to ourselves and just do better. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. So, don't jump on your own back. You can't change the past. It's already done. And you needed your specific amount of time to get through and get to your healing. All right? And like you said, he will never have that upper hand again. All right? So that experience, it did what it was supposed to do for you. Now we just have to allow ourselves to be healing and move forward. It's interesting because, we allow the narcissist to be human all the time, don't we? We have all this unlimited forgiveness for them. We've taken their Hoover back over and over after they've done X, Y, and Z. But then we can't forgive ourselves. So, a part of codependency is abandoning ourselves in some shape, form, or fashion, typically for another relationship. All right. So don't abandon yourself in a healing process and join the other team and continue to, be harsh to yourself. Right now, you need to be filling up your love cup. You need to see where you were in, a trance. You had the trauma bond going. Chances are you had a soul tie going on here. So you had too much toxicity to get out of it. It was when you started to distance yourself or put some distance between you and your toxicity, and that began to get smaller. And then that allowed you to be able to pull away. All right. So you have to understand that you had to evolve through that. All right. So stop being so hard on yourself and give yourself, if you even gave yourself a fraction of the patience, of the kindness, of the forgiveness that you were willing to give other people, and particularly that narcissist, you're going to be okay then. But you should be giving yourself the most, because nobody should be loving you and appreciating you, being there for you more than you are to yourself. Okay? So this person sounds like they still have to get used to giving themselves adequate self-support, self-love, self-forgiveness, and things along that line. So that's something that you might, want to work on with yourself. Everyone has made a mistake. All of us have fallen short of the, grace and, short of what God wants for us. But he gives us free will and he knows we're not going to always get it right. All right. So all we can do is get better. And guess what? If God can forgive you for that, why can't you forgive yourself? And if you want God to forgive you for it, why can't you forgive yourself? And if you have forgiven other people for far worse, you can certainly forgive yourself. And honestly, we do better typically when we know better. So if you were ignorant and didn't even know better and you were operating out of that, how accountable can you really hold yourself? You didn't even know any better. All right. So let's be fair to ourselves, just like we want others to be fair to us. All right, so I hope that this video reply has helped you and some other survivors who may be, resonating with this and feeling this at times. All right, replay the video as often as you need. I do offer one-on-one coaching for you and anyone else who's stuck, in anger and bitterness and resentfulness, who's stuck in, not forgiving themselves and all the things along that line, or anything dealing with narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships, shadow work, healing your inner child, anything, guys. I have my website, LakiaCrawford.com. You can go on there and schedule your appointment with me. I have all types of packages that you can take advantage of. I do voice calls, I do Skypes and FaceTimes, WhatsApp, I do email coaching. All right, I have a mobile text support that could help anyone that's newly going no contact, where you can text me instead of the narcissist. All right, I have my Patreon, guys, a great way to get services from me at a discount. All right, it's a monthly membership where you'll be paying me a monthly fee. You can pick your membership tier and see the perks that come with that tier, and that's what you'll get each month. All right. At the $150 a month tier, you can unlock mobile texting to me, and that's $150 a day on the website, guys. So that's a huge savings, all right? And I believe at the $24.99 a month, you can get 3 coaching sessions a year starting from when you sign up. So, these are great things that you guys can take advantage of if you would like to talk to me one-on-one about your particular situation. All right, I have a second YouTube channel that I'm going to be promoting on this channel for all of my family-oriented survivors out there. It's a channel about family life, a channel about motherhood, a channel to help support single moms even. We'll be talking about topics of parenting, and some survivors have already followed me over there. You can make video requests on certain parenting topics, and in the mix of it, I'm going to be vlogging different aspects of my family life on there, so you get a little more glimpse of me as well. So it's a little entertaining, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and then we'll talk about some topics as well. So if you're interested in that, the link will be below this video, and it's at least below like my last several videos. And that channel is called Mommy Life Space with 6. You guys are all welcome to come over to that YouTube channel. And of course, it won't be changing anything that I have going on here. All right. Other than that, I do have the free support group, guys, over on Facebook for survivors of narcissistic abuse. You can inbox me and let me know that you're a survivor. All right, that link is below all of my videos as well. If you ever wanted to make a donation to the channel outside of, like a Patreon, something a little less formal, my Cash App, my Venmo, and PayPal information is always below all the videos. Everything is very helpful, guys. Great ways, though, to support the channel is always to like the video and comment. This helps to push the content out into YouTube land, all right? So if you think, more videos like this need to be shown on YouTube, you can always show your support by even just liking and leaving a comment, all right? All of that is welcome. Thank you guys for all the love that you do show this channel. And of course, what I say at the end of all of my videos, continue to do the work, never give up on yourself, and until next time, please take care.